Shalom, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We are reading today from the book of Luke, starting at chapter 4. Luke, chapter 4, 1. 1. And Yeshua, being full of the Ruach HaKadosh, set-apart spirit, returned from Jordan, and was led by the Ruach spirit into the wilderness. 2. Being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he ate nothing, and when they were ended, he was hungry. 3. And the devil said to him, If you be the Son of Elohim, command this stone that it may be made lechem bread. 4. And Yeshua answering him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by lechem bread alone. 5. And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. 6. And the devil said to him, All this power will I give you, and the glory of them, for that is relinquished to me, and to whomsoever I will give it. 7. If you therefore will pay homage to me, all shall be yours. 8. And Yeshua answered and said to him, For it is written, You shall pay homage to Yahweh, your power, and him only shall you serve. 9. And he brought him to Jerusalem, and set him on a pinnacle of the Beth Hamikdash, the temple, and said to him, If you be the Son of Elohim, cast yourself down from here. 10. For it is written, He shall give his messengers charge over you, to keep you. 11. And in their hands they shall bear you up, lest any time you dash your foot against a stone. 12. And Yeshua answering said to him, It is said, You shall not test Yahweh your power. 13. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. 14. And Yeshua returned in the power of the Ruach spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the surrounding regions. 15. And he taught in the Kohanim, being esteemed of all. 16. And he came into Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the Kohal on the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read. 17. And there was handed to him the scroll of the prophet Yeshayahu, Isaiah. And when he had opened the scroll, he found the place where it was written. 18. The Ruach Spirit of Yahweh is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim the Besorah to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim rescue to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. 19. To proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh. 20. And he rolled up the scroll, and he gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the Kohal were fastened on him. 21. And he began to say to them, This day is the word of Yahweh, fulfilled in your ears. 22. And all bare him witness, and wondered at the gracious words which proceeded out of his mouth. And they said, Is this not Joseph's son? 23. And he said to them, You will surely say to me this proverb, Physician, heal yourself. Whatever we have heard done in Kafar Nakum, do also here in your country. 24. And he said, Verily I say to you, no prophet is accepted in his own hometown. 25. But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elijah, when the Shamayim was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. 26. But to none of them was Elijah sent, except to Zarephath, a city of Sidon, to a woman that was a widow. 27. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elijah the prophet, and none of them were cleansed, except Naaman the Syrian. 28. And all they in the Qahal, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath. 29. And rose up, and thrust him out of the city, and led him to the brow of the hill whereon the city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. 30. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. 31. And came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days. 32. And they were astonished at his teaching, for his word was with authority. 33. And in the Qahal there was a man who had an unclean ruach, spirit, a demon, and cried out with a loud voice. 34. Saying, Let us alone. What have we to do with you, Yahushua of Nazareth? Are you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the set-apart one of Elohim. 35. And Yahushua rebuked him, saying, Hold your shalom, and come out of him. And when the unclean ruach, spirit, demon, had thrown himself in the midst, he came out of him, and hurt him not. 36. And they were all amazed, and spoke among themselves, saying, What a word is this! For with authority and power he commands the unclean ruach, spirit, demons, and they come out. 37. And the fame of him went out into every place of the region round about. 38. And he rose out of the Qahal, and entered into Shimon's Beth house. And Shimon's mother-in-law was taken with a great fever, and they asked him to help her. 39. And he stood over her, and commanded the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose and served them. 40. Now when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with various diseases brought them to him, and he laid his hands on every one of them, and healed them. 41. And the unclean ruach spirits, demons, also came out of many, crying out and saying, Son of Elohim, and he rebuking them, permitting them not to speak, for they knew that he was the Messiah. 42. And when it was day, he departed and went into a deserted place. And the people looked for him, and came to him, and asked him that he should not depart from them. 43. And he said to them, I must proclaim the kingdom of Elohim to other cities also, for therefore have I been sent. 44. And he preached in the Qahal of Galilee. So that now brings us to the end of chapter 4 of Luke. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in chapter 4. Okay, so the first footnote we have here is in verse 4. And Yahushua answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by lechem, bread, alone. So let's have a look at this bread. So we have here, quoting Deuteronomy 8 and 3. The manuscripts has the shorter reading, while in Matthew 4:4 you have the longer reading. So let's have a look at Deuteronomy 8:3. So Deuteronomy 8:3 reads, And he humbled you, and suffered you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your avot, fathers, know, that he might make you know that man will not live by lechem, bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh will man live. Okay, so we have a footnote here for bread only. So it says here, we need Torah for our very beings. Without Torah, we will starve spiritually to death. Torah gives life and is the living waters we need. Okay? So that's Deuteronomy 8 and 3. So it's telling us, we must keep the commandments, that is the Torah, okay, to live. So let's have a look at Matthew 4:4. So Matthew 4:4 reads, "But he answered and said, It is written, man shall not live by lechem, bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh." Okay, so we have a footnote here, out of the mouth of Yahweh, so let's have a look at this. So this says, "And it came to pass, when Yahweh was come up out of the Mayim, the water, the whole fount of the set apart Ruach, the feminine, descended and rested upon him, and said to him, My son, in all the prophets was I waiting for you, that you should come, and I might rest upon you, for you are my rest, you are my first begotten son." Okay, so we got a footnote here for out of the mouth of Yahweh, so let's have a look at that. So it says, Yahushua quoted from the Torah, Deuteronomy 8:3. The word was not God or Elohim, but in Hebrew the term Yahweh was used. He, Yahshua, may have used the vernacular at the time of Adonai. Okay? Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in continuation, verse 6. So it also says, see Deuteronomy 8:3, which I've just read. Okay, so we'll move to the next footnote, which is in verse 6. "And the devil said to him, All this power will I give you, and the glory of them, for that is relinquished to me." Okay, let's have a look at this, relinquished. So we have here, the devil was lying and assuming Yahweh has given him the entire world. But the world is Yahweh's. And the devil has no right over any part of Yahweh's world, but only has the freedom to roam around in the air for the time being. Satan actively deceives people, as he was trying here, but Yahushua caught him in the act and rebuked him using Torah. We should do the same. So we also have look at Psalm 24:1. So let's have a look at that. Psalm 24:1. So Psalm 24:1, and it reads, "The earth is Yahweh's, and the fullness of it, the world, and they that dwell therein." So we have a footnote here, after "dwell therein," and it reads, "In whatever present shape we are in, the world belongs to Yahweh and not to Satan, as erroneously being taught around assemblies." Okay? So there are a lot of people who obviously believe that Satan runs the world, but that is not true. The world belongs to Yahweh. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 7. "If you therefore will pay homage to me, all shall be yours." Okay, so let's have a look at this, pay homage to me. So we have here, the Hebrew Matthew reading has prostrate and take your head covering off, or bare your head naked. All Hebrew men, worshippers of Yahweh, cover their heads when in their places of worship. Okay? So obviously Satan wanted him to bow down and prostrate to him. Okay? So that's what it's talking about, prostrate. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 8. "And Yahushua answered and said to him, For it is written, You shall pay homage to Yahweh, your power, and him only shall you serve." Okay. "And Yahushua answered and said to him," let's have a look at this. So we have here, important manuscripts miss the reading, "Get you behind me, Satan." Okay. So I think that's self-evident. Let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. For it is written, he shall give his messengers charge over you to keep you. Okay, so we have a footnote for to keep you. So we have C footnote Matthew 4 and 6. Let's have a look at Matthew 4 and 6. So Matthew 4 and 6 reads, and said to him, if you be the Son of Elohim, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his Malachim, his angels, charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone. Okay, so we have a footnote for stone. So Satan allegedly tried to tempt Yahushua. So it says, see Psalm 91:11. So let's see if we can find that. Psalm 91:11. So Psalm 91:11 reads, for he commands his Malachim concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. Okay? So that's Psalm 91:11. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which we have in verse 16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the Qahal on the Sabbath day. Okay, let's have a look at this. So Yahushua did not reject the oral Torah traditions, as many Christians think. He accepted many of these traditions of oral Torah, and was an expert at them, like a Rabbi should be. For a Sabbath example, without the oral Torah in those days, you would not know what was the definition of work. It is true that many in the Pharisees' camp had taken some of the oral Torah to extreme levels, not profitable for living. Okay, so the oral Torah was being changed by some of the Pharisees and making it harder for people to keep the commandments. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 17. And there was handed to him the scroll of the prophet Yeshayahu, Isaiah. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we have here, this shows us an interesting oral tradition, only found in the oral Torah. On the day of the Sabbath, 7 men read the Torah Parsha on the platform. Then the 7 would also read the half Torah, the reading of the prophets. And we can see that Yahushua was about to read the half Torah, showing us that he actually followed oral Torah principles. This also shows the error of those impudent scholars in Christianity who propagate the error that Yahushua only spoke Aramaic. This passage proves that Yahushua spoke fluent Hebrew, since the book of Isaiah was in Hebrew, and the Qumran scrolls prove this fact. All services in the first century Israel, both in synagogues and temple, were conducted in Hebrew, and not Greek, not Aramaic or Latin were used for services. The only things that we have in Aramaic are the Talmud, such as the Babylonian Talmud, which was written circa 600 CE. The Talmud and Mishnah are not scripture. Today, the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, that are alive are permitted to make decrees that affect us in 2020 and beyond to help our lives. Okay? So, I hope that's given you a bit more understanding. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 18. The Ruach Spirit of Yahweh is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim the Besorah to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim rescue to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. Okay, let's have a look at this, them that are bruised. So we have the writer of Luke tries to show proclamation from Isaiah 61, 1 and 2, and from Isaiah 58, 6. The next two verses of Isaiah do not need to follow a time sequence. Okay, so let's have a look at Isaiah 61, 1 and 2 quickly. So Isaiah 61 and 2, or 61, 1 and 2 reads, "The Ruach Spirit of Adonai Yahweh is upon me, because Yahweh has anointed me. He has sent me to proclaim good news to the meek, to heal the broken in heart, and the opening of the prison, to them that are bound, and recovering of sight to the blind, to declare the acceptable year of Yahweh. 2. To proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh, and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn." Okay? So there's no footnotes in there, so we'll move to Isaiah 58 and 6. Let's see what's in there. Isaiah 58 and 6, and it reads, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke." Okay, so that's Isaiah 58 and 6. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 19. "And to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh." Okay, let's have a look at this. So the year of Jubilee mentioned in Leviticus 25 and 10. So let's have a look at Leviticus quickly, 25 and 10. "And you shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land, to all the inhabitants there. It shall be a Yubile to you, and you shall return every man his possession, and you shall return every man to his mishpachah," family. Okay, so we have a footnote here for possession, so let's read that quickly. So it says, "All the people and property must be redeemed in the year of Jubilee. Servants must be released to go free." Okay, so then we have another footnote, mishpachah, family, so let's read that. So the word doror, the word for liberty, used in the context of a Jubilee year, means all of the following. The ancient Dalet is the marker for a mouth, so his voice. His commandments represent Torah obedience for all his disciples. The modern Dalet is a symbol for the door, which is the Torah. The staff belongs to the future Messiah. See Ezekiel 37:19. The Rosh, or head, is also of the Messiah. See Isaiah 28:16. The tried precious stone. The Wa reveals him as a man, and the ancient picture of the feather floating reveals with the Hebrew Resh means appointed by our Father when he comes for us. Okay, so there's quite a lot in there, so let me see if I can have a look at Ezekiel 37:19. Ezekiel 37:19, and it reads, "Say to them, thus says the Master Yahweh, behold, I will take the Epes, the tree of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him even with the Etz, the tree of Yehudah, and make one staff out of them, and they shall be one in my hand. Okay, so this is all the tribes coming together, so this is still yet future. And we also have Isaiah 28:16, so let's see if we can find that. Isaiah 28:16. So Isaiah 28:16 reads, Therefore thus says Master Yahweh, Behold, I lay in Sion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believes shall not make haste. Okay, so we have a footnote for haste. So it says here, the Messiah, King Yahushua. Okay? Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 20. And he rolled up the scroll, and he gave it back to the attendant and sat down. Okay, rolled up the scroll. So let's have a look at this. So the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah 61:4-5, are not necessary in the time sequence, as they are verses for later to follow. So let's have a look at Isaiah 61:4-5. Isaiah 61:4-5. And they shall rebuild the old wastes, and they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities and desolations of many generations. 5. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. Okay? So we know that's still yet future, still yet to come. So let's go to the next footnote, which is a continuation. And the eyes of them that were in the Qahal. Okay, the eyes of them that were in the Qahal. Let's have a look at this. So we have here all the followers of Yahshua up to 135 CE worshipped in the local synagogues and went to the temple in Jerusalem before its destruction. There was no such thing as a religion called Christianity until Marcion found this new religion, which he called Christianity, that is followed by many today. Hence, many still hate the Torah as outdated or for Jews only. The first century Nazarene followers of Yahushua, the Messiah, accepted everything in the Torah as legal and lawful. They believed Yahushua as the fulfillment of the prophecies. Marcion hated and removed all the biblical feasts and the Sabbaths, and called them of Judaism and Judaizing, which Christendom likewise does to this day. The clearest mention of Sunday worship was by Justin Martyr in 164 CE, calling it the day of Helios, the sun deity. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 29. And rose up and thrust him out of the city and led him to the brow of the hill whereon the city was built, that they may cast him down headlong. Okay, let's have a look at this headlong. So we have here, why did they do this? Because he uttered the sacred name of Yahweh more than once, and they did not like it, as they had introduced a ban on the sacred name of God, as have the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim converts to our faith called the Jews, even in our day, where they would rather call him Hashem or Adonai. Neither of these are the purebred children of Israel. Okay, so, they changed the name from Yahweh to Adonai, and This is why they were obviously upset and angry, because he was using the sacred name Yahweh. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 31. And came down to Kafar Nakum, a city of Galil, and taught them on the Sabbath days. Okay, so let's have a look at this Sabbath days. So we have here, it is a normal and biblical custom to teach during the time of the weekly Sabbath. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 40. Now when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with various diseases brought them to him, and he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. Okay, so laid his hands. So let's have a look at this. So we have here, laying of hands is not a new Christian fashion, but it's a very ancient Torah term employed by Torah rabbis like Yahushua and others today. Okay, so the laying of hands was practiced in the days of Yahushua. Okay, so it originated, from the days of Yahushua. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 41. And the unclean Ruach, spirits, demons, also came out of him, crying out and saying, Son of Elohim, and he rebuking them, permitted them not to speak, for they knew that he was the Messiah. Okay, let's have a look at this. He was the Messiah. So it says here, why the emphasis by demons? In the supernatural, they knew that Yahshua was the Messiah and Son of Yahweh. Yahweh manifest on the earth. Okay, I hope that's clear. So Yahweh manifest on the earth. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 43. And he said to them, I must proclaim the kingdom of Elohim to other cities also, for therefore have I been sent. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Have I been sent to the scattered tribes of Israel, hence why he was in the north. Okay, so he would bring the Torah to the 10 scattered tribes in the north. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of chapter 4, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy saying, Baruch Shem Kivod, Malkut Le'olam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen. Shalom, shalom.